My name is Jessica Yazdani, and I am one of 4 college and career counselors that works for our district. And with us this evening, we also have Erica Gardner. She's the coordinator of our program, College and Career Guidance. We also have B. Nguyen, who's the college and career counselor over at Aliso Niguel High School. So today we will be discussing college majors, how to go about choosing a majors, and everything there is to know. And then at the end, you will have time to ask questions, and you can submit your questions in the Q&A box. So who are we? We are credentialed school counselors. Each one of us has experience with college admissions, meaning each one of us has worked for a university, and we have worked in the admissions department where we reviewed applications and helped make decisions on who would be admitted to certain universities. So I have experience working at UC Davis. I know one of my colleagues has experience working at UC Irvine, a couple of the other UCs, private universities. And so we're unique in the sense that we have the college admission background, as well as the high school, college, and career counseling background. Our team is extremely data-driven. So everything we do, we like to back it up with data. We do pre and post surveys to make sure that students are understanding the concepts that we're trying to teach them when it comes to college and career counseling, along with using data to make sure that we're providing students with the topics that they want to hear about. We provide one-on-one college and career counseling appointments. So I'm over at San Juan Hills High School. If you haven't already made an appointment with me, you're able to do so on the Futureology website. You would go to our website, just type Futureology into Google, select one-on-one appointments, and then you would pick the school that you're located at, and you can schedule an appointment with me directly from there. And then you can do the same thing at your own individual school site. So like I mentioned, B is over at Aliso Niguel High School. We have Erica Espejo, split between San Clemente and Capo Valley High School. And then we have Nicole Rengifo, who is split between Tesoro High School and Dana Hills High School. So you can schedule an appointment with each one of us. We host events and workshops. We support our school with school-wide college and career initiatives. At San Juan Hills High School, we had Ride for Your Future Day. I know it's called Beyond the Pod at Dana Hills High School. They're going to be hosting the same type of event over at Aliso next school year. And so we work with our schools to offer school-wide college and career events. We will be hosting a college fair this school year, as we do every single year. And so those are a little bit about kind of what we do on our campus. We also have a website filled with tons of resources. We have a YouTube channel where we post our live webinars too. So if there's a topic that you're wanting to learn a little bit more about when it comes to college admissions or career exploration, most likely we have a topic and a video for that. So feel free to explore our YouTube channel to see if there's anything on there that you'd like to learn a little bit more about. Okay, so I wanted to really quickly just ask everyone to submit an answer in the chat box. Who knows exactly what they want to do for their career? So if you feel like you know what you want to do for your career one day, go ahead and submit in the chat box the career title or what you feel like you would want to do one day. So we'll just take 1 minute. All right, it looks like we have nursing, video game designer, business, something in psychology, biology, maybe doctor. Okay, what else? Intelligence analyst, something for the computer field, engineering, real estate, entrepreneurship, writer, computer science. Awesome, a little bit of everything. Okay. So for those of you that know what you want to do one day, that's awesome. One thing to be mindful of is you are so young, right? So your mind could change. You may want to do a career right now that you think is going to be a good fit for you, but maybe next year you change your mind. And so The good thing is we're here to kind of help you get started with career exploration. And it's good to get started with this early so that if you do change your mind, you have the time to do so that hopefully by the time you are a senior, you do have a better and more sure idea of what it is exactly that you want to do. I know people that still don't know exactly what they want to do, and they're much older than you. Or sometimes you start out in college and you think you want to major in something, and then you end up changing your major a couple of times. Or there are people that pursue a career and then they have a complete shift in their goals and in what they value and what they want to do, and they completely start in a new career field. So starting now in high school kind of gives you that time to change your mind and figure out exactly what it is that you want to do. And you're more likely to stick with it if you've kind of taken the time now in high school to figure it out. Okay, so choosing a college major. If you don't know what you want to do, I've noticed that some students can feel a little stressed out or overwhelmed if they are not sure what to choose in terms of a college major on a college application. And I want you all to know that the most common major chosen on a college application is actually undecided. So if you fall under that category of not knowing, there's nothing to feel bad about. You will figure it out eventually. And then, like I mentioned earlier, your mind may change as you get older. A helpful thing to do each year that you're in high school is to ask yourself some self-reflection questions. So if you're not sure what you want to do, you can ask yourself, what am I good at? What do I care about? What are my passions? What can pay me well so that I can live the life that I want to live one day? And what will align with my core values now and in the future. So like I mentioned, your mind may change as you get older, your interests may change, but if you end up choosing a career that aligns with your core value, that typically doesn't change. So that typically will stay around the same. So try to pick something that, really aligns with who you are internally. Okay. So researching different majors. Majors will vary from university to university. So psychology at UC Irvine versus psychology at Cal State Long Beach may look a little bit different. So when it comes to deciding on a college, sometimes students do that additional research and they'll look to see, what are the requirements for psychology at Cal State Long Beach and what are the requirements for graduating with a psychology degree at UC Irvine. So you'll notice that some universities require that students take more general education or GE classes compared to others. And some students prefer to take the least amount of general education classes possible. General education classes are basically classes like math, English, science, art, history, your gen ed courses. It's kind of like your basic classes that you need to take in order to earn a degree. They like to take the least amount possible because they prefer to kind of get started in their major right away and taking classes that relate to their major so that they can have that hands-on experience. And also, if you're able to take classes that relate to your major right off the bat in college, you're more likely to, figure out if it's something that you can see yourself doing long-term or not. So that is something that we recommend that you look into. Cal State University San Luis Obispo, or SLO, is known to require less GE classes compared to some other campuses. So they're very big on being a hands-on institution where students kind of jump right in and are able to start in their major right away and start earning those real-world experiences, which a lot of students do like. So it's just something to be mindful of. And then even some campuses have different options when it comes to certain majors. So UC Irvine, for example, they have a lot of different options when it comes to psychology. They have a bachelor's of arts degree in psychology, bachelor of science in psychology, and a bachelor of science in cognitive sciences. So lots of different options if you're interested in something like psychology. And that's true for a lot of different majors when it comes to specific disciplines within that major. And then something that I always like to kind of share with families is co-op programs. So some universities have something called co-op, which basically allows students to take a semester up to an entire school year off to go work for a company. So they'll have pretty much like a career job fair day where companies will come and interview students. And if you end up getting hired, you get to take a semester off and you go and work for that company full time. So you're working as a full-time employee, 40 hours a week, and you're getting paid a salary. And some colleges, depending, are able to put you up in housing and, send you a meal allowance. And what's cool about that is you're earning work experience while you're in college. So you're really building your resume. And if you make a good first impression, typically those companies will say, as soon as you graduate, come back, we will hire you full time. So really cool opportunity if that's something that you're interested in. And of course, we want to go to college to have a positive experience and make friends and join clubs and all of that great stuff. But the main reason why we want to go to college is to get a career one day, right? To land something that we love to do, that can pay us well, where we can live the type of life that we want to live. So if landing a successful job is one of the main goals, then you'll definitely want to do some research and look into colleges that have co-op programs. It's a really cool, neat opportunity. And these are some that do. So Northeastern, Georgia Institute of Technology, Waterloo University, which is in Canada, Kettering University, University of Cincinnati, and Drexel. Okay, so I just wanted to show you kind of what it looks like when you are comparing majors between campuses. And so you can do this research online and see. So for Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, this is a sample freshman schedule for aerospace engineering, for example. So you'll see they have aerospace fundamentals in the fall semester, along with calculus, introduction to design and manufacturing, and then they have you taking 2 general education classes in your first semester. And then you'll see aerospace engineering for UC Berkeley and what a sample schedule for them would look like. So Math 1A, Math Science 45, Aerospace Engineering, it's probably an introduction to aerospace engineering class, a science elective, and then a reading and composition class. When you go to, so some colleges do a really good job at providing flowcharts. So I really like the one that Cal Poly San Luis Obispo offers. You would pick the year that you're, planning on attending that college. You would do the major. So let's stick to aerospace engineering. You could do the concentration not yet declared, and then flowchart. So it gives you this nice flowchart of exactly what you would need to take as an aerospace engineering major. And then going back to this PowerPoint, you can also click on the course descriptions to learn a little bit more about what the class entails. So this one, it'll say this is a freshman level seminar course offered every fall semester, consisting of general audience lectures by leading practitioners of aerospace engineering from the Bay Area and beyond. So that sounds pretty cool. But yeah, you would be able to click on the different course descriptions to kind of get an understanding of what you'll be learning about too. So that's another way that you can compare and contrast between different colleges.
And if I could add to Ms. Yazdani, if for those of you who are interested in researching majors, just like Ms. Yazdani just showed you, you can always go, like Ms. Yazdani just did, to the university website, and where you would find a lot of this academic information would be under the tab titled academics. Every university website will have an academics tab. I do recommend that you start there, and you can look at undergraduate programs, or majors and minors is sometimes what it's called, and it'll take you to this information that Ms. Yazdani is showing you so that you can begin comparing majors across campuses.
Okay, so ways that you can kind of go about understanding a major better: look into the certain majors you're interested in on your college's specific websites, like Bea just mentioned. You can review their course requirements, get an idea of the content that you'll be learning. How many classes you'll need to graduate is something else that you can kind of compare and contrast. Some colleges make it more challenging to change your major once you're a student there. So that's something to be mindful of. So for example, UC Santa Barbara will say, if you're planning on studying computer science at UC Santa Barbara, it is very competitive there, and it is an impacted major, which just means they have way more applicants applying to declare that major than they actually have space for. And so in the past, they have said to us that sometimes when you're a student there, if you didn't come in as a pre-engineering major, then you sometimes have to wait for someone to drop out of the major in order for you to apply to get admitted into the major. So you want to be aware of what that process looks like at the institution that you end up going to if you didn't declare a major. So if you're thinking, maybe I want to do something competitive like computer science or a pre-nursing or maybe biology, just know that some colleges do make it a little bit more difficult to change into that major. Some colleges, the process is very simple. You may just need to meet with a counselor, complete a form. You might have to take a class or two and pass it with a B or higher to show that you have proficiency in that subject area. And then you're going to be able to get into that major, no problem. But just kind of know what that process looks like at the colleges that you're applying to if you're not going to select a major on your college application and you're planning on doing undecided, or if you think that there is a chance that you might change your major once you get there into something that's a little bit more competitive. And we'll talk about some of those more common competitive majors in just a little bit. Okay, so one way to kind of go about building your college list is to take campus tours of colleges in person. So it's a great way to really get a true sense of what that college may be like when you actually step foot on the campus. It's especially helpful to go while students are currently in session. So being able to see students walking from class to class is kind of helpful to get an idea of what the student body is like and what the campus community and culture is like. So we really highly recommend that you schedule some college tours if you're able to. You can go online and book it. There's typically like an online calendar that you can book a tour through. And also the people that are giving those tours are typically current college students in their junior or senior year is what I've seen. And so they're extremely knowledgeable. I've had students ask like, so what's the food like on campus? And they'll give you their true honest feedback, like things that you may not be able to find online. They're able to give you their perspective. And so college visits are extremely beneficial. And if you are able to take some college visits, we recommend that you ask some of these questions. So how would you describe the academic pressure and workload? So some college campuses are maybe a little bit more competitive versus collaborative. How intense is the academic pressure on students? Are there any special programs such as independent study, off-campus study, study abroad opportunities, or joint programs with nearby colleges? So what some colleges will do if they're nearby is they'll allow you to take classes at both campuses, which is kind of cool. What are the most commonly chosen majors here, or what are your top 3 most popular majors? What is the process for needing to change your major? So that's a great question to ask if you fall into that circumstance that I talked about a little bit ago. And what type of internship or co-op opportunities are available within my major. So not a lot of colleges have co-op opportunities. That was just a specialized program that I wanted to, let you all know about. But a lot of colleges do have a career development office. Actually, most or all colleges should have a career development office. And so I highly recommend during your first semester to schedule an appointment with that office and see what type of internship opportunities they have. When I was in college, we had something called Beach Link, where it was an internal job board that was only open to students that went to my college. And so that's how I landed my very first internship. And because I was able to get involved with that opportunity, it opened a lot of doors for me and it led me to my first career. So really important that you're finding out about those types of opportunities on your campus. Oh, and then we wanted to let you all know that the CUSD College Fair will be held on Monday, October 2nd this school year, that's coming up at Capistrano Valley High School. So be on the lookout for more information to come. This is a great opportunity to ask these types of questions and to talk to many different college representatives all in one night. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, we will be talking about kind of going into more depth when it comes to some of those more competitive college majors. Okay, nursing. Nursing is a very popular major that we've seen a lot of students be interested in. And so because of that, a lot of colleges have impacted nursing programs, again, meaning they have way too many people applying than they can actually accommodate for, which makes it so that they can make it a bit more competitive to get in as a nursing major. And then there's a difference between direct entry nursing programs versus pre-nursing. So schools with a direct entry nursing program means that if you're applying, say you're applying to San Diego State University, they have a direct entry nursing program. So that basically means that if you're admitted as a direct entry nursing student to San Diego State University, that you are in the program. So you don't have to reapply to get into the program. You're in it. You're good to go. You have to, at that point, just work really hard and pass all of your classes and maintain the minimum GPA requirements to stay in the nursing program. If you're applying to a school that has a pre-nursing program, like Cal State Long Beach, for example, you're designated as a pre-nursing major, meaning you're not actually in the nursing school yet. You're pre-nursing. So you're on the track to be eligible to apply to go into the nursing program. So you typically apply if you're applying to schools with pre-nursing as the major, you typically apply to get admitted into the nursing program your sophomore year. So if you end up choosing a school that has pre-nursing, the second that you get to that institution, you really want to make sure that you are competitive. So you want to do really well in all of your classes. You'll have to, most colleges will say you need to maintain a certain GPA when it comes to your science classes that you're taking, like anatomy and organic chemistry, things like that. And then in addition to that, if you really want to stand out, it's best to have experience in nursing by the time that you apply into the nursing program. So if you can volunteer for a hospital or find an internship that relates to the medical field, that will really set you up for success. But if you're applying to schools with direct entry, you don't necessarily need to worry about that as much because once you're in, you're in. Something else to be mindful of is that if you are applying to a school for direct entry nursing, or if you're not sure and you're applying, as undecided to a school that has direct entry nursing, typically once you're a student there, if you didn't come in as a direct entry nursing student, you will not be able to get into the program after the fact. It's different for pre-nursing, but for direct entry nursing, you have to be admitted as an incoming freshman in order to start the program. For nursing, we recommend that you apply broadly. So in California, I've noticed that a lot of nursing programs are really competitive, but there are some like University of Hawaii at Manoa, the GPA requirement isn't as rigorous as it would be at, for example, a San Diego State or a Cal State Fullerton nursing program. We will be sharing these slides after tonight's presentation. And so if you are someone who is interested in nursing, I would recommend checking out this link, which was put together by an organization called RAC. And they put together a list of direct entry and pre-nursing programs. So you can kind of explore that list to see what your options are. Okay, computer science is another one that's super popular among our students. It may be more competitive for admissions, like I mentioned earlier, how it works kind of at UC Santa Barbara. Some colleges will look to see if you have experience in computer science. So if you indicate on your application that you're wanting to be a computer science major, sometimes they'll look to see if you have experience in computer science. So that could be taking a computer science class at your high school. It could be taking the robotics program after school through CCA. It could be taking an intro to computer science class at your local community college. Maybe you're part of your computer science club at school, things like that. And then because this is such kind of like a popular major, you may want to think about alternative majors to kind of help you get there. So there's things that you can do that will still kind of help you achieve the goal of becoming a computer scientist one day, like studying applied mathematics. You could go into data science, artificial intelligence. That's kind of like a newer major, but you could definitely do that and still be able to be a coder. And I also feel like when it comes to majors like computer science, it kind of comes down to skill set. So if you choose something else to major in college that's very similar, and then you're also self-teaching yourself on the side, you're watching YouTube videos on how to code. When it comes down to it, if you're passionate about computer science and you have the skill set for it, you won't have a, too tough of a time finding a job in computer science just because your bachelor's degree didn't say specifically computer science. All right, so now I'll pass it over so you can learn a little bit more about PreMed.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so PreMed is when I talk to students and I ask them what they want to pursue, for those who want to go into healthcare, specifically for those who want to become doctors, they tell me that they want to major in PreMed. How many of you have heard that before? Give me some action in the chat box, like, yeah, totally PreMed. So-and-so said that they were going to be PreMed in college. Anybody at all? Are we all still here? Okay, thanks, Cheyenne. Heard it, but not interested in it. Yeah, Laura said, yeah. Okay, yeah. So PreMed is not a major. So this is something that we want to emphasize for those of you out here who are interested in healthcare, right? Maybe becoming a doctor, psychiatrist, radiologist, oncologist, whatever it may be. When you hear the word PreMed, I want you to remember that it is not a major that you choose for college. PreMed is more of a pathway. So when somebody is PreMed, it simply means that they are planning to go to med school, right? So when you are choosing majors, just know that there's not going to be a PreMed option. It's more of a pathway. So what does that mean for those of you who want to become doctors or, enter healthcare? It means that you should choose a major that you will excel in. A lot of people in here think that, well, actually, let me ask you, what major do you think is really good for somebody who wants to become a doctor? What do you think? Give me some ideas in the chat box. When you hear doctor in medical school, what majors? Eniola, thank you. Biology. What else? Maybe majoring in nursing to become a doctor, right? Any other majors you're thinking of? Biomedical engineering. So I'm hearing a lot of bio. I'm hearing a lot of STEM, right? Biochem. Bio is a theme, right? So one thing that I would love to dispel with all of you is that you do not have to major in a science to become a doctor. And in fact, med schools love a well-rounded applicant. They love students coming from the humanities. They love art students, music students, humanities students, English majors, history majors, philosophy majors, right? So one thing that hopefully might give some of you some comfort if you want to become a doctor because you love helping people, right? And you're good at science, but you don't want to study it, you don't have to. And that's coming straight from med schools, right? They're saying you don't have to be a science major to become a doctor. You just have to make sure that you're meeting the prerequisites to get into med school. So yes, if you want to apply to med school, you're going to have to take, bio and organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, calc. You will have to take those classes, but that doesn't mean that you have to major in science or math. Right? So as you're thinking about your future, for those of you who are interested in the medical field, think about a major that gives you joy, that you will excel in, because guess what? Getting into med school means you have to have a good GPA in college. That's very important. So if that means that you're going to do well and get a good GPA in English versus bio or chem or biochem, then do English, excel in English and take your prerequisites and qualify and apply to med school. That's perfectly acceptable, okay? So just keep that in mind, is that you should be choosing a major that excites you, and understand that no matter what major you choose, and this applies for any career, choose something that is going to excite you and that you will do well in. Most careers will allow you to pursue a major that is broad, and that might not even touch on what you want to pursue. There are certain occupations like nursing and engineering where you need to major in that thing to do that job, but a lot of other jobs are pretty open. And I believe Ms. Yazdani is going to share a really great resource with you later on to explore what careers you can pursue with different majors, which is really exciting. But anyway, going back to PreMed, right? You don't have to major in science to be a med school, prospective med school student. Look for schools that have pre-health advising programs, okay? And practically every university will have this. Pre-health advising is an office that is dedicated to advising students on what to do to prepare for med school or for optometry school or dental school or pharmacy school, right? So as you're researching schools and thinking about what you want to pursue, and maybe it is a career in medicine, as long as the school has a pre-health advising program, you can major in whatever you want. So keep that in mind. Big fish, small pond, you might be wondering what I mean by that. If you're considering med school, once again, I know we're going very specific into different majors, but this is very popular in our district. If you're considering med school, again, GPA is important. Where you stand compared to your classmates is important for med school. And so you might want to consider applying to a school that you are kind of way overqualified to be attending, right? Where the acceptance rate is really high, where your GPA is way higher than the average student getting in. Because if you go to a school like that, you might get offered more scholarships, for one, because you're such an academically outstanding student compared to the average student getting in. And two, it might allow you to graduate closer to the top of your class and allow you to really shine academically, obtain that higher GPA and stand out for med school. You also want to research schools that have undergraduate research opportunities, because that's really important for med school as well. So the UCs, for example, excel in providing undergraduate research opportunities. And that's something that you're going to want to take advantage of if you are pursuing this pre-med pathway. And then finally, what can you do to prepare now if you're interested in this major, right, in this pathway in the future? You can work on being bilingual. This applies to nursing as well. It's very helpful. It applies to business as well. Mandarin would be really great for business majors, but that's a whole other thing. But working on bilingual can help. Getting patient care experience by taking CCA classes that offer hands-on medical experience, right? Volunteering at hospitals to get that hands-on patient care can help now and in college, right? And volunteering, like I said, in the community. So these are things that you can do now to begin being more competitive for college admissions, but more importantly for you to begin exploring if this major, if this career pathway is something that is going to work for you in the future, okay? So that's pre-med, popular kind of major that we hear about. The next kind of popular major that we hear about is pre-law, right? Students that we meet with who want to become lawyers will say, well, I'm going to major in pre-law. But that is also not a major, okay? Pre-law is not a major, pre-law is a pathway. So if you want to be a lawyer, that's amazing, but you're going to have to choose a major when you, graduate from college, right? So again, this applies to pre-law as well. You're going to pick a major that you excel in, pick a major that you would love to study. Law schools will accept students with any major. It does not have to be political science or administration of justice or criminal justice, right? It doesn't have to be that. You'll hear that a lot, like, oh, you want to be a lawyer, you should major in political science, right? You don't have to major in political science. You can major in whatever you want, as long as you'll do well in that major. Because again, GPA matters for law school. So you want to do well, whatever it is you're majoring in, you just want to make sure that it's a subject that you will excel in, right? So research schools with pre-law advising, just like there is pre-health advising, there are universities and colleges that have pre-law advising. Not all colleges will have pre-law advising, but many will. And this will help you prepare for law school while you're in college. It'll tell you the things that you should focus on and prepare for as you perhaps take the LSATs or the GREs to prepare for law school admissions, right? So pre-law advising programs are a great way to get that extra help in college if you want to become a lawyer. And while you are in college, right, you're going to want to make sure that you're getting some hands-on experience working in a legal setting to gain that experience to be more competitive for law school. And of course, now while you're in high school, some things that you can do are take community college courses to explore the field, to explore different majors by taking different classes. A great example would be to take communication fundamentals at Saddleback. That's essentially like a speech and debate course, college level. And it teaches you the skills that you'll need to be an effective debater and an effective researcher, right? So that you can come to a debate or a speech with evidence, with facts, with research. So that's a really great course to take as well. And then you want to focus on your research and writing skills too while you're in high school. So focus on English and history and that reading and writing component, because law is a lot of reading and writing and researching. Take MUN if you have the chance, take speech and debate. If you have AP seminar and research at your school, take it. These are things that will expose you to the types of things you might be exposed to as a lawyer, to see if that's a major or a career path that you want to pursue. One thing I'm going to go back to for majors for law school before I pass this back to Ms. Yazdani is that you can major in anything if you want to become a lawyer and go to law school. But if you want to become a patent lawyer, where you're working with intellectual property and inventions, right? Those lawyers typically need a degree in STEM. So if you want to become specifically a patent lawyer, and if you don't know what that is, go to californiacolleges.edu and look into what that is. If you want to pursue that, you would actually want to major in engineering or science. So just keep that in mind. I actually worked with a student this year who's going to do exactly that. And if you have any questions, let us know. But I'm going to pass this back to Ms. Yazdani to keep us moving right along.
Okay, thank you. All right, so where do I start? Again, just kind of wanting to reiterate that the most commonly selected major on an application is undecided, but hopefully if you're able to start the career exploration process now, it will help you make that final decision in terms of what you want to study. So ways that you can identify a career is to, first, if you haven't already created your California Colleges account, definitely do that and take a career interest profiler. So you can start with that profiler or that assessment. And the more thoughtful you are and the more time you take with actually responding to the questions on this assessment, the more accurate your results will be. So you can take this assessment, it'll provide you with a series of statements, and you basically rate each statement on a scale from not likely to enjoy to extremely likely to enjoy this activity. So for example, the first one might say, how likely would you enjoy building kitchen cabinets? It's not asking you if you have done that activity in the past. It's asking you if you could imagine yourself doing that and actually enjoying that. So if you're someone who's really hands-on, you like to, maybe be up and about working, then you may want to select most likely will enjoy this activity, and so on and so forth. And then at the end of the assessment, it will give you a list of careers that are potentially a good fit for you, depending on how you responded to the assessment. And then what's neat about that as well is that when you click on the career title, it'll provide you with a lot of important information, such as salary information. There's job outlook information in there, a brief description of what you would be doing on a day-to-day basis. It has education requirements to obtain that career one day. And then it'll also show you a list of colleges that offer that major in order for you to be able to land that job one day. So that's really helpful. The website again is www.californiacolleges.edu. And if you haven't already created your account, you would click on register now up at the top right-hand corner. The district has worked with this company so that every single student now in our district has access to it. So once you click on register now, you'll put in your 7-digit student ID number along with your personal email address. And then once you're logged into your California Colleges account, you would click on the career tab to take that interest profiler. We also recommend that students take CCA, or also known as career technical education classes. So every single high school has a set of career technical education classes that they offer. So you can stop by your college and career center and talk to your career guidance specialist to learn a little bit more about what's offered at your campus specifically. We also have after school CCA classes. So we have programs like robotics, medical assisting, pharmacy, medical core, fashion design, entrepreneurship. We have a business class. So lots of different options. And that's a great way to gain experience with a certain career field that sounds interesting to you. And then if you end up liking it, great. Then you know that that's something you want to move forward with. And even if you end up realizing you don't like it, then that's okay too. That's one more thing you can kind of cross off your list and move on to the next career interest that you may have. You can also volunteer. So say you think you may want to work with animals one day, maybe you volunteer at an animal shelter, or say you do want to become a nurse one day, maybe you get a volunteer opportunity at a hospital. It might not be an exact idea of what it would be like to be a nurse, but you'll at least be able to work in that type of environment. You'll get to see doctors, and you kind of have that exposure to kind of have somewhat of an idea of what it would be like if you were to pursue that career long term. If you know someone in your family or you have a family friend that is in a job that sounds interesting to you, you can always ask them if you can job shadow for a day. I know I worked with students at a previous high school that I worked for, and they job shadowed a civil engineer as part of this field trip that we did. And the students, by the end of the job shadow day, said they no longer wanted to pursue civil engineering because they had an idea in their mind that it was a lot more hands-on than it actually was. So when we job shadowed the civil engineer, he said it's a lot of paperwork and you're working at a desk for the most part. You're not really in the field as much as you think you may have been. So students kind of changed their mind after that day. But again, that's okay, right? It's all about being informed and getting an idea now so that later on you're more certain and you're sure of your decision. Okay, so it's also important to ask yourself, like I mentioned earlier, do some self-reflection each year that you're in high school. So you can ask yourself questions like, what do you love to do, right? What's your hobbies? What are your interests? What brings you joy? The goal is to find a job that also, in addition to it being something that you love to do, that it's something that you're good at or something that you can be good at, right? Something that the world needs, and then something in which you can be paid for. So if you know that you want to, live in San Diego one day by the beach and own a Tesla, then that is something that you'll really want to consider is the salary for that position. And so it's all about doing that research ahead of time so that you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. And you can also use this model here on the right. So kind of understanding your values, what do you care about, what's important to you, learning about yourself, right? So spending some time on your own, to really dig deep and to figure out what your interests are and what you could see yourself doing one day. Linking your major to your career is really important. So I always like to map it out backwards with students. So instead of kind of figuring out which colleges you want to apply to first, and then which major, and then a career, try to map it out backwards. So figure out what career you want to pursue one day, then figure out, okay, now what major do I have to study in college to obtain that career? And then finally, what colleges offer that major to set me up for success? Again, like I mentioned, you definitely want to do research. There's a website called onetonline.org. And you can look that website up. It's a really accurate website when it comes to different career fields. So it will tell you job outlook. So how many jobs will be available in the next couple of years when it comes to that specific field. It tells you salary information depending on the state that you're interested in living in. And it tells you like how bright of a future you would have in that specific career field. So if there are more jobs being developed for it and at what pace as well. So that's a really helpful website to check out as well. Okay, and so now I wanted to show you this website. It's offered through UC Berkeley. It's called What Can I Do with a Degree In? So if you know you want to study something in college that sounds interesting to you, but you're not sure what type of career options you have or you would have if you were to graduate with that degree, I would use this website. It doesn't have every single major on here, but it does have a lot to kind of give you an idea. So for example, I chose public accounting, and it tells you the different types of sectors that you can go into, such as financial accounting, business valuing, personal financial planning, environmental accounting. And then it tells you some employers that look to hire people in this field. And then it gives you some other important information. So I'm going to click on this link. Let me type it in here. So it's What Can I Do with a Degree In? And it's through UC Berkeley. And so when you click on the major, you'll learn a little bit more about it and then what you can do with a degree in it. So if I click on animal science, for example, gives you a description, common career paths. So you can go into the dairy industry, the beef cattle industry, livestock, meat and dairy foods, employers that hire people with animal science degrees. So zoos, cow operations, feedlots, feed companies, and then a lot of other cool, important information. Employment opportunities, occupational outlook, professional associations, and then some additional resources. So I'm going to link this in the
I
chat
put it in the
box.
chat.
Oh, great. Okay, great. So this is a good website to use. Again, it doesn't have every single major, but it does have a lot on here. And so even like mathematics, some people are interested in math and they're like, I don't know what kind of career I can land with a math degree. So you can do that additional research to kind of know what you're getting yourself into and how to set yourself up for success. Okay, so tips once you're in college. Like I mentioned earlier, every college will have a career development office. So highly recommend that you schedule an appointment with that office your first semester or your first year in college. I didn't do this until toward the very end of my college career. And like I mentioned earlier, that's how I landed an internship, which opened doors for me, which I was able to land my very first career with. And so I think back and I'm like, wow, had I done that earlier, I wonder how many more opportunities I would have had in terms of building my resume and having different types of career opportunities. So definitely do that early on. And if you're not able to do that, at least start to build your resume freshman year. So start to look for internship and work experiences to build that resume so that by the time you graduate, you have a couple of really strong experiences to go off of and to impress employers when you're applying for jobs. Be mindful in your courses relating to your major. So, when you're in college, try to take your classes seriously and understand that these are courses that are designed to help prepare you for career success. So you should be, really paying attention and making sure that you're making those connections to your major and your career. And again, continue to do self-reflection each year. So have my interests changed? Ask yourself what new hobbies you have. Do you have new skills that you want to add to your resume? And then it's important to talk to professionals in your field. So if you know what you want to do, start to ask questions. What is it like on a day-to-day? What are some challenges that you experience? What are the best parts about your job and why? People will be really honest with you, and they, especially if they've been in it for a couple of years, they can give you a true sense of, what they think, and some things that they've had to struggle with or things that they really love about their job. And then you can kind of, decide from there if it's something you want to continue to pursue, given some of the common challenges, or if it's something that you don't want to pursue anymore. And again, it's all about kind of process of elimination too. So figuring out what you like and what you don't like. So before you choose, determine the pros and cons of your major. So again, what types of careers could this major lead to is a really important question that you should be asking yourself. Again, like I mentioned earlier, so just reiterating this point, your interest may change 10 years from now. So choose a career that aligns with your core values and things that you truly care and are passionate about. Talk to people important to you. So ask for advice, ask your parents, peers, advisors, teachers, counselors, but ultimately choose what will fulfill you and choose a career that's going to set you up for the life that you want to live. So I always reiterate that point as well. Will your selected major lead you to your desired career? And do you know the educational requirements for your desired career? So sometimes we want to pursue something and then we're not exactly aware of how much schooling is going to be required of us. So sometimes, you want to be a medical doctor, but you don't realize that it's so much schooling. And so understanding your options too, like becoming a physician's assistant is not as much schooling as becoming a medical doctor, or becoming a nurse practitioner isn't as much schooling as going to school to become a medical doctor, and you're still able to diagnose, you're still able to meet with patients, and you still make a really great salary. So there's lots of different options out there, and it's just about being informed and understanding what the requirements are for each one. Okay, so it's important to also review information for your desired career. So like I mentioned, that website ONET Online is a great website to use to learn more about salary information, job outlook, job duties and responsibilities. And then if you are able to have an opportunity to job shadow a professional in your desired field, it's a really good idea, because you may be, shocked at what a typical day-to-day looks like for someone in that field. And then look up jobs now. You can look up on Indeed.com to see what type of job opportunities are available in your field, and then you can see what the requirements are. So kind of what they're looking for now, so that you're kind of setting yourself up for success. If they're looking for certain experiences, you can start to build on those experiences and find part-time jobs or internships while you're in college, so that you are a competitive applicant when you're applying for these jobs once you graduate college. All right, so I just wanted to quickly go over our website again. So we have a ton of resources on there. We have our YouTube channel, like I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, where we post all of these webinars too. So if there's a topic that you're wanting to learn more about when it comes to college or career, most likely we have a video on there for you. You can schedule a one-on-one appointment with us through our website. And tons of other really great resources. So definitely check us out online. And now we can open it up to questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the Q&A. So what time does the meeting end? Pretty much now. Now we're just opening it up to Q&A. Someone asked, would any of the internships or job shadows I have done in high school still be applicable when in a college program? Yeah, so if you had a meaningful internship experience that you want to add to your resume, you definitely can still add it. As you gain more experiences throughout your time in college, you would kind of get rid of some of the older experiences that you had, and then you'll include the newer experiences that you end up joining. Can I apply for internships when I'm a freshman, and how? You definitely can apply for internships as a freshman student. I recommend scheduling an appointment with the career development office at your college, because typically each college will have their own individual job board site that's only available to students in your college setting. So you would go, you would make an appointment, and they would show you what that website looks like. You would create an account, and then you could apply for positions through that website. And again, they typically are only open to students at your college, so it's less competition. And I would start to do that as early as freshman year, so you could really build your resume. Can I volunteer at a hospital as a high school student? Yes, you definitely can. I recommend going to volunteermatch.org. You can go to that website, and you can select the category that you're interested in. So you would pick like medical, and then you would choose your location, and then it'll show you a list of organizations that are accepting volunteers, such as hospitals, if you choose the medical category. And then you would just apply directly. So I've had a lot of students volunteer at hospitals, and it's a really great opportunity, again, to kind of gain that exposure, and also to add it to your resume that you volunteered at a hospital. What would be smart business pathway to take if I'm attending a community college like IVC? So I'm not exactly sure if you want to elaborate on that, but I think what you're asking is, so business pathway, if I'm attending community college like IVC, you could still find, so community colleges still also have career development offices, so you could still schedule an appointment with them. You could use websites like Indeed.com to search for internship opportunities. But yeah, community college still has plenty of opportunities for you to get involved with your major. Another good resource to look into is to ask your professors who are teaching these classes. Typically, they have experience in their field. So typically they have, they've been in the business field, maybe they have experience, and you can ask them about different organizations that, end up taking interns, and then you can apply with them directly. Can I get a job without a degree? So it depends. Yeah, you definitely can. Certain majors are a little bit easier to get a job without a degree versus others. And there's also apprenticeship programs which allow you to, you're in a program that is teaching you a set of skills for a very specific career. And then as soon as you're completed with that program, you're able to work in that field. And so I know someone, for example, that's a lineman. Those are people that are working on the telephone wires, and they're repairing those telephone wires. So if there's weather conditions that cause damages to those telephone wires, they're up there and they're repairing it. And so that's a program that you enroll in. You are earning real world experience. So you're on the job, learning how to do the job, and you're also getting paid while learning. And typically, I think that program is about 4 years long. And then as soon as you graduate, you're able to be a lineman, and they make a pretty decent salary. So there's lots of different options out there. In addition to that, there's, the military. Some students want to work right away. Some students want to take a gap year and volunteer. So lots of different pathways. Definitely recommend that you schedule an appointment with your College and Career Center counselor at your school site so we can kind of break it down for you a little bit more, and kind of help you when it comes to that. Okay, if I'm interested in business, what best courses can help me apply to business majors? So when you are enrolling at college, you would be meeting with a college advisor, and they actually help you choose the classes that you need to graduate with a business degree. Or if you're starting out at community college, they'll make sure that they ask you what college you're planning on transferring to, and then they will help you map out what the requirements are to successfully transfer as a business major. And so definitely schedule an appointment with your college's advisor so that they can make sure that you're taking the right courses that are needed in order to graduate with that degree. Well, you said the link for this webinar's recording. Yes, definitely. So we will be sending, after tonight, we will be sending the entire presentation along with the recorded webinar to everyone that attended. Okay. Looks like that was it for questions. Is there any more? Oh, another one. I don't want to go to college, but my parents, are kind of wanting me to go. So that's definitely a conversation that we can all have as a team. I would recommend reaching out to your college and career counselor and talking to them and scheduling an appointment. College, it's not a one size fits all, and there are so many different options out there. So we can, during that meeting that we have with you, we can kind of figure out what your goals are and what you want to do for your future in terms of her career one day. And then we can help you map it out. And then we can meet with your parents and kind of talk to them about those options and what that could look like for you. So definitely log into the Futureology website and schedule an appointment with your College and Career Center counselor so we can start having those conversations with you. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay. I've heard a lot of people doing programs in a gap year. Yes, so Gap Year, if there's a website called Gap Year USA, they have a list of different Gap Year programs that you could look into. So there's lots of different opportunities that you could pursue while doing a gap year. You can enroll in a program. You just can't take any community college classes because if you do take community college classes during a gap year, then it makes it so that you are now a college student. And when you're wanting to apply to four-year universities, you then have to apply as a transfer student. So you can volunteer during a gap year, you can work, you can look at gap year. If you type Gap Year Fairs USA, that's an organization that has put together a list of different gap year opportunities that I know of that you could look into. I've had students go to different countries and teach English. I've had students volunteer during that time, do community service. Sometimes too, students want to kind of add more experiences to their resume during that time so that they can apply to colleges again to give themselves kind of another shot to apply to some different types of universities. So that's another option. Can we apply for multiple majors when we apply to college? So you would, on your college application, you would select the major that you want to apply to. So, and some colleges will allow you to choose an alternative major. So for the UC application, you would choose your primary major, and then you would choose, a lot of them will give the option to choose an alternative major. So if you don't get in for your primary one, you have the option of still being considered for your alternative major. Yep, and if you need to leave the meeting, you can definitely head on out. We're just kind of answering questions at this point. So feel free to head out if you need to go. Got some more. We are actually going to be offering some summer appointments. So we will be offering several days during the summer where students can schedule an appointment with us. So kind of be on the lookout for that email, more information to come on that. Can I get jobs with certificate programs from IVC or SBC? Yeah, so good question. Community colleges have career technical education programs. They also have certificate programs. So for example, I know there are some coding certificates that you can get. They have career technical programs, like I mentioned, like cosmetology or automotive technology or fire science. So definitely look into the career technical education programs at the community college that you're planning on attending and see what they have to offer. And then you can definitely apply for those programs. And they definitely have good job opportunities. And so I would definitely use onetonline.org to look up the job outlook, salary information, and get an idea of how many jobs will be available in the future for your desired career. And our meeting, the presentation is done. So like I said, we're just kind of answering questions at this point. I know a couple of you asked if the meeting is over, so feel free to head on out. Thank you for joining us. For those of you that stayed this whole time, we appreciate it. Are there classes at Saddleback where I can earn certificates for business to start working early? Yes, so they do have certificate programs. I would look at Saddleback's website, or you can schedule an appointment with your college and career counselor and we can kind of do that with you. But yes, they do have certificate programs for business specifically. They most likely do, but I would schedule an appointment with your counselor to kind of see what those programs are and kind of how to get started. And then someone asked about biology as a freshman in college. Do I need to have the prerequisites? that Ms. Nguyen talked about, or is it during college that I need to have those requirements to go for pre-med? So what she was mentioning, I think, is a little bit different. So I want to take a biology class as a freshman. If you want to study, I think I might need you to elaborate a little bit more on that one. Essentially, a good thing to do if you're interested in going for pre-med is to look at the medical school that you want to apply to one day. Look at the, prerequisites into getting into pre-med and make sure that the college that you end up attending offers those prerequisites. But you're able to take a standard biology class in college if you just want to take a biology class in college. But if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that one, I can help you out. But hopefully that answered your question. Okay, are there any other questions? So if they only have, so if someone asks, what do you suggest I do if I want to attend a UC for accounting, but there are only minors for it? So I would definitely, like I mentioned earlier, schedule an appointment with your college and career counselor. We can kind of go over your options, but if they only have accounting as a minor, you can still be a successful accountant if you minor in it. Maybe you can major in something else that kind of complements accounting, or maybe you want to own your own business one day and you major in computer science and you minor in accounting or something along those lines, or you do like business management as your major and then you minor in accounting. So you're still taking the classes needed to graduate with a degree that will say minor in accounting. And so as long as you're really passionate about that field and you're building your resume and you're earning work experiences that relate to accounting while you're in college, I think that you'll still be successful when it comes to finding a job. So if a UC is where you want to be and that's like a non-negotiable for you, but they only offer accounting as a minor, you can still make it work. You would just want to definitely build your resume while you're there. Summer classes or programs to figure out what interests you. So you can take a community college class online. It's free for high school students. So that's a great way to take a class in a subject or a field that sounds interesting to you. And they have those type of courses. So they have computer science, they have intro to psychology, they have art classes. So if there's something that sounds cool to you, you can definitely take it at a community college. And that's a great way to kind of figure out if it's going to be a good fit for you or not. And then on our Futureology website, we actually have summer programs that we've put together that are hosted by different universities. So you can check that out as well. And if there's a summer program that sounds really cool to you, then definitely look into applying. Some of them can be pretty pricey, so I wouldn't recommend paying a ton for a summer program. I would look into volunteering first or taking a community college class. Okay. Possible to explain a bit more on undecided major when applying to college. So if you apply as an undecided major, that's totally fine. The way that it works is once you're there, within your first semester or so, you would be meeting with an advisor, and then typically by your second semester, you do end up having to choose a major. So hopefully during that time in your first semester, you're able to take some classes, maybe an intro class or two in a subject that sounds interesting to you. Maybe you're able to gain some volunteer or internship experiences in a field that sounds interesting to you. And then hopefully by the end of your first year, you're able to solidify your major choice. So definitely can choose undecided as a major on your college application. And then they do give you kind of like a deadline for having to choose a major eventually. And then how important are AP classes as opposed to just graduating high school with a high GPA? So if you're applying to four-year universities, especially Cal States and UCs, they definitely value AP and honors classes. So it also helps with your weighted GPA, which is what UCs and Cal States utilize when making an admissions decision. So they're looking at your weighted 10 through 12 GPA. So AP classes are definitely seen as valuable, but you don't want to take on more than what you feel like you can handle. So always take it with a grain of salt. Make sure you're talking to your current teachers about the workload that is required of an AP class. If you're planning on leveling up next school year, talk to your current year teachers, talk to your school counselor to ask them about their insight. Make sure you're talking to your parents. But yeah, AP classes are a great way to challenge yourself, and colleges definitely value it as well. So UCs are not looking at SAT or ACT. They are test free. So they can use test scores for placement when it comes to math and English placement, but they are not using test scores to make an admissions decision. And you don't have to take it for placement. That's just something that they can use to help place you in math and English classes, but they also will use multiple measures to know what classes to place you in, such as your high school transcript and the classes that you've taken in high school. I think we have time for one more question. Any other questions before we head out for this evening? If you do end up having questions later on, again, feel free to go to the Futureology website and schedule an appointment with your college and career counselor. We're happy to help you out. As a reminder, we also have college and career guidance specialists who work specifically with our career technical education classes on campus and after school. So if you're wanting to learn more about what options you have, definitely schedule an appointment with them as well. We're both located in the College and Career Center. All right, so if no one else has any questions, we'll go ahead and end tonight's presentation. Thank you so much for joining us and being here with us tonight. We really appreciate it, and we hope to work with you very soon. Thank you, everyone.